The narrative does look positive. That's the view of Dianne Abbott herself. There is caution behind that optimism. She said she was selected by her local party in 2022, but, quote, "I will not be the official candidate until I am endorsed by the Labour Party's National Executive at its meeting on Tuesday. So I'm not saying anything until then, but the narrative does look positive." And it really does. I understand from senior sources that Keir Starmer's office believed that Dianne Abbott will be the candidate for Labour for Hackney North. And all that happens here now really is just a rubber stamping exercise. All of this, though, has trundled on for more than a year. And during that time, Keir Starmer has relied upon this line of, effectively, it's not me, Gov, it's an independent process, I'm leaving it to the executive. That all changed this afternoon. This is what he had to say.
She's free to go forward as a Labour candidate. The whip is back with her, it's been restored. And of course, you know, she was a trailblazer for many, many years and has cleared the path for others to come into politics. So, formally matter for the NEC, but I've not expressed a view up until now. She's free to go forward as a Labour candidate.
Rishi Sunak has wasted no time this afternoon jumping on this. Yesterday, Angela Rayner said she thought that Dianne Abbott should be allowed to stand. This afternoon, the Prime Minister said, well, I think we can now see who really is the power behind the throne. But the view inside Labour is this just needs to be nipped in the bud. It's gone on for too long. There's been days of bad headline. We need to it's been diverting focus. I think the view of both parties is best summed up by one text message I received from a Tory fighting for re-election today saying, damn, we really could have done with this, been strung out for as long as possible.
Thanks, Paul. Well, this morning, Keir Starmer was campaigning in Scotland, where he promised a Labour government would begin building clean power across the UK within months through a new publicly owned energy company. And he insisted it would safeguard Scottish jobs for years to come. Our chief correspondent, Alex Thompson, was at the launch.
Sunshine over Greenock and wind. Perfect for renewables on the Clyde this morning. The Labour leader's bait for floating voters, Great British Energy. A fast track, he claims, to cutting your energy bill.
Great British Energy, that publicly owned company, owned by the taxpayer, making money for the taxpayer, harnessing clean power. Do you remember what the Tories said 10 years ago? Cut the green crap, stop the investment, stop insulating our house, made us more exposed to what was going on in the world. And as a result, your bills higher.
Party boss and deputy, Scottish Labour leader also here. It all felt a bit like a second campaign launch in Scotland, with the added bounce of COVID man of the moment, Sir Patrick Vallance, endorsing Labour's green energy prospectus this morning. The SNP leader says Great British Energy isn't a company and he isn't impressed.
Keir Starmer's proposals on GB Energy will not be reducing household energy bills anytime soon, but it will be reducing employment in the oil and gas sector in the northeast of Scotland, and that will be a body blow.
The Greens say the only route to net zero is electrifying home central heating, and said Labour lost that when it abandoned its 28 billion green pledge. If the cap fits...
Well, the Democrats are champions in renewables. We want to have many more renewable energy because it's the cheapest and most popular form of energy. It would help get people's bills down, and Liberal Democrats want to insulate people's homes far better as well. Given the Conservatives' failure on energy, they've left people cold in the winter. They've allowed bills to go up. We need an energy policy that will get those bills down.
2015, Mr Cameron plus Lamb. 2024, Mr Sunak plus Lamb. Now lambasting Labour's green energy plan.
He's been talking about his net zero ambitions, but yet again there's no substance. There's no ideas, no policy, there's just a logo. And the British people deserve a lot more than that.
Election jeopardy when the military-style media control falters. Earlier this week, Rishi Sunak ambushed on social media by a young person over the Prime Minister's national service idea. Right, do you want a photo? Asks Mr. Sunak.
Right, do you want a photo? Yeah, I was just going to ask, why do you hate young people so much? You're making us go to the army, you're making us...
No, you'll have a choice. You'll have a choice.
I've volunteered all my life. And
then you will love it. You will love it.
Why do I have to do it again when I'm finally coming out of education? And then
because I think a culture of service...
I wouldn't do it like that. A culture of service is a good thing for our country. And
you'll have a choice.
You're waffling.
A spin doctor's nightmare. So back to the Labour leadership's big idea here in Glasgow this morning, the launch in headline terms of Great British Energy. Now actually delivering that will of course be a lot more complex, and that falls to Ed Miliband. We caught up with him. And I asked first off about Sir Patrick Vallance endorsing Labour's plan today for the green investment via this new Great British Energy.
I think it's very significant that you've got the man who helped save millions of lives through the COVID vaccine endorsing Labour's plan for 2030 clean power. And I think it says a couple of things. One, that we have a bold plan, but it's credible as well, which is incredibly important. Secondly, the reason why he is so enthusiastic about this mission, and I underline the word mission, is because it can get us energy independence, lower bills, good jobs, and tackle the climate crisis. And in a way, this is the new case for climate action.
Coincidence, or did you put it up to him? Did Labour give him an opportunity to do this? Just a coincidence?
Patrick has been doing this independent work at the Royal Academy of Engineers for months. Of course, he's talked to us about our plans, as you would expect.
So it's a sort of coincidence?
Well, no, I think it's an endorsement, and we're proud of the endorsement, and we're proud of the relationship that we have built with him.
Great British Energy, Keir Starmer talked about it as a company. It's not, it's just an investment vehicle.
It's a company. It's a publicly owned energy company, to be absolutely clear.
It's not producing energy though, is it?
It will be investing in energy and will own energy.
Investing, but not producing it.
Investing and producing and owning assets. The best parallel I can make is EDF is a French energy company. It generates energy. Ørsted is a Danish energy company. It generates energy. So I want to be absolutely clear about this. It's a publicly owned energy company. I underline that. And of course, it's going to be investing as part of that.
Let's talk about delivery. There's so many issues. Let's take one. The national grid. That has to be massively updated to deliver all this, doesn't it?
There are three things you need to do. Look, first is you need to reform the planning system. We have a sclerotic planning system, and it's not the fault of people in local areas. It's the fault of a Conservative Party that has overseen a decay in the planning system. We don't have enough planning inspectors. We don't have proper national policy statements to do it. That's the first thing. Secondly, we need to make sure that every community that hosts clean energy infrastructure gets benefit from it. At the moment, that is not compulsory. We say, if we are in government, if you live in an area near grid or near renewable energy, you as a community will get benefit. And the third thing we need to do is we need to use GB Energy, which we will do to speed up this process. So we're going to bring together the transmission operators, the people who build the power lines, to make sure that they can order the kit we need, because there is a big race on to get that kit.
SNP saying 100,000 jobs going to go in oil and gas.
The SNP are impossible to follow on this. They've had sort of so many multiple positions on this question, but they are wrong. They are wrong. Let me just tell you about what's happened in the North Sea. Over the past 10 years, the number of jobs in the North Sea has halved, right? We are going to be keeping existing fields in the North Sea open. They will be with us for decades to come. But the future of North Sea oil and gas communities will be determined by whether we have a plan for the jobs of the future in offshore wind, in hydrogen, in carbon capture. The Tories have totally failed despite massive promises. The SNP have massively failed despite huge promises that they have made. We're actually going to deliver on something the SNP said they would do 7 years ago, which is Great British Energy.